Hey guys, welcome to this week's midweek motivation. We are in this topic of talking about those things that stir you up and just cause you to be like, oh, I'm so frustrated because this isn't the way that things should be, right? And so we're in week 2 of this topic, and last week we talked about holy discontent and what that looks like. And holy discontent, defined as we are talking about it, is that thing, right? That frustrating piece of something that we've experienced or seen that is just like, man, I know it needs to be different, and I'm being stirred into some kind of an action.
Welcome to the Midweek Motivation Podcast, where we bring practical help for your faith and life. Here's today's episode.
This week, we've got our friend Tony G. And Tony is, he's a part of our Westside team, and he's actually been on Midweek Motivation before, and I'm so glad to have you here, Tony. Like I've said, I love just hanging out in the lobby while we're saying hi to people and having some of these deep conversations. So I'm glad that we get to bring that here.
We are professional Westside people watchers in the lobby. And we say that with all love because
Absolutely.
Our people, we know so many of the stories and we watch them come in with their families and with each other. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
it's exciting to see people's lives change and move and keep moving. So,
yep, it is. Yeah. So, Tony, we're talking about this process of taking that holy discontent and putting it into action and doing it. I think there's a responsible way to do it, a way that helps us to get from point A and that point of frustration to an effective implementation of a plan or some way to actually hit our target, and that target being, an improvement on what it is that we're seeing in the direction of, maybe what God would want us, to move toward. And so on Sunday, we talked about this a little bit. We talked about it at great length, I guess, with Steve.
We did.
And so I'm just curious if you'd be willing to share a time that you've experienced holy discontent and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, I think for me, and I know because of the community that we're in here at Westside, is that after COVID, people were very discontent about a lot of things globally, in their local in their workplaces, in their families, at their churches, for sure. Places of worship. So I think one of my main struggles and issues that came out of COVID for me was how serious it was to a lot of people who are evangelicals, who believe in Jesus, who felt like society, locally, government, our families were against us for different stands we took. Like I was on the total opposite side. I was like, let's pull up in the parking lot. We're going to have church. You can't tell us we can't have church. You can't tell me to put them, all that kind of stuff. And then other people were, I still got friends that are still masking. They're still afraid because of all of that. So coming out of that for me, I realized that, and maybe part of it is my age. I just turned 68 a couple of weeks ago. And I'm thinking, okay, I am closer to 100 than I am, than I was earlier in the year. So I feel like a little bit that I have only a certain amount of time that I've been gifted with. I'm in really good health and all that. So coming out of COVID, we did the Change Your World. Remember that?
I do, yeah.
We read the book. Stuff. We had a big, long series on it. And so I committed to that. I commit to everything around here. Let's have put your miracle on the wall. I put 7 of them or whatever it was,
you
right?
Drink the Kool-Aid, we would say.
Yeah, and it was, I love doing that thing because it's participating with everybody else. I don't feel like I'm just doing this to show off or,
of course,
So I did the commitment and read the books and had the refrigerator magnets and the little stickers and everything, and I got my kids to do it. But I don't think I didn't really go all the way. I was just, okay, we're in another series, I'll just do it. But then when we did we did kind of a recommitment a year later.
Yep.
And I felt so crappy about not following through with what I'd committed to to Gabe and to the church and to the different teams I'm a part of. And so I thought, I've got to really make it serious this time. So having been in a workplace where we have government contracts, so we were considered an essential business, so we were able to stay open.
I see.
But we had people within our company that, I'm not coming in. I don't want to be around anybody. I don't want to get a virus and die, which some people got really sick and some people didn't. And some people like me got vaxxed multiple times and still got COVID 4 times. So I really wanted to not have that happen with people that I spent almost all of my day with. And so my recommitment was that I was no longer going to be silent about my faith at work. I was not going to be that person that will have somebody come and say, well, I didn't know you were a Christian. Wow, that's really cool. Why didn't you tell me that 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And that really bothered me after a year of being part of the Change Your World and then not really doing following through with my commitment.
I see. Yeah.
So I put that, we filled out a piece of paper or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we hang it on the wall?
Recommitment card.
Yeah. So I did that, and my commitment was that I was no longer going to be silent. I was going to talk to people about spiritual things. I was going to target, for lack of a better term, several people that I work with that
You had some people in mind.
I was going for immediately. Yeah. And so that next Monday, I just started in, and I had to think about it for just a little bit, and I realized, don't put any parameters on it. Don't guard what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. If somebody's going to have a problem with it, then take care of it at that point. And I never had anybody say anything in these 2 years since we did that. I think it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
So I approached my first target, Danielle. You were my first target. You were my work buddy. And she's my supervisor, my team leader, and we travel a lot together to see accounts. And so the first time we went out, which was I think the week after that, I asked her about, what's the spiritual side of your life? Do you have any churches that you've gone to? Did you go to church when you were a kid? Mm-hmm. And man, 20 minutes later, she's running through her whole church history life, and it just so happened she hadn't found a church on the Westside. She used to go to a church over in Clackamas. And I said, well, we're kind of firing up at Westside, and I think you'd really like it. The music's good. It's got a really good children's program. And I think she came, not the next weekend after we had this road trip together, but she came the Sunday after. And she liked it.
Yeah.
And she brought her kids, and her kids love it. Her kids... there was the Sunday that we don't have church, where we let everybody off in the holidays.
Oh yeah,
they came. She didn't know that.
Appreciation.
Volunteer appreciation. You can sleep in the 1 day a week.
Yeah.
1 day a year.
Yeah.
They showed up, and her kids, I guess, were crying on the way home. There's no church. I love the church. So
that's cool.
It was kind of
love it that much.
Yeah. Well. Those are the people that are going to be doing what we do in 25, 30 years, kids that are 6, 7, and 8. So, so she became a regular. Mm-hmm. And then she had a friend, our friend Stephanie, that she invited. Mm-hmm. Stephanie comes with her daughter and sees a bunch of people that she recognizes from Celebrate Recovery and another outside program. Mm-hmm. Well, they're all buddies now. Yeah. So they start coming regularly. Then one of them decides they want to get baptized, and then the kids want to get baptized with them. And this whole thing has trickled down to the point where Gabe and I joke about my work tree. Mm-hmm. It's like a monkey tail tree. It's going everywhere, or a banyan tree. The roots are down, the roots are up, the branches are going everywhere, to the point where I can't keep track of it. I some of the stories that Danielle and Stephanie could tell you about people they've invited and how it's changed their life and how they have a new outlook on everything. It's
wow.
It's beyond what you could imagine when you set out to try to tackle some of the things that you're not happy with, your discontent. that happened in a relatively short period of time.
It did. I remember all that stuff unfolding.
Yeah.
I mean, even just now, it's 2025, all that stuff with COVID, like it really just started opening back up. What was it, 2021 or something like that? So,
Yeah. Well, if you worked for the government or in state government, you still had restrictions till the end of 2021. So
yeah.
23 was really the first clean year,
Yeah.
However you want to say it.
Yeah.
And we felt it here too, where you didn't see anybody wearing masks, and
Yeah.
you felt you could shake hands and hug people without going, I don't know if this is going to go good or not.
Yeah.
So now all of that for me has transferred into, okay, what's next? What can I do next? Where else can I have an impact? Where else am I not satisfied with what I think I should do?
Oh my gosh, that's incredible to be able to see that impact and then have it fuel you for the next thing, like to gain some confidence in that. That's like through that process is super cool. I want to go back though, like so when you decided to step into, like to take a step into having conversations with people about faith at work. I know that you said you didn't have any parameters around how it was that you were going to engage with people, but that in itself kind of sets some parameters. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
You had to have thought through the process, because I know I used to work in the banking industry, and oh my gosh, like it was a world where you did not talk about your faith because like there were some dire like you could lose your job, you know what I mean? And so I understand the trepidation, I guess, around having conversations with people about your faith in the workplace. There had to have been a thought process that you went through where you're like, what's the best approach? What's okay? You know what I mean? Like what did that look like for you? How did you clarify that?
Well, I think for myself, and I believe probably other people have this too, is you've had the, I wish I would have said that moments over years of time. I wish I would have said something. I wish I would have talked to them. And then you feel regret because you see their lives tumble in the wrong direction, or you see somebody else talk to them about, and you go, hold it, that's my person. I want.
Yeah, or even like talk to them later and find out that actually what you had to share could have encouraged them and they would have been receptive, but you didn't say something.
Well, I've been at my current job selling headstones. So we consider ourselves in the death care industry and selling headstones to individuals and to companies that sell them to their clients. I see grief in every stage that you can imagine, and there's some stages you never heard of. So I incorporated it not only into talking to people in my workplace, but talking to my clients.
Sure.
Retail clients and my corporate clients. Well, I think mentally I just made a list of, okay, what's a good opening line to somebody, even if you don't know them very well. And I think using the holidays and all the holiday celebrations that we do around here, that's almost cultural and secular, right? You can invite somebody to an Easter Sunday service. We have enough of them.
Sure.
If your church doesn't have enough Easter Sunday services, come to Westside. We got one for every size, shape, and color of a Christian and not a Christian. So, we do Easter stuff. We've got dads and grads coming up. So those are really not really spiritual conversations you can have. So it's really easy to say, hey, listen, I don't know if you go to church on Easter or not, but we have some good services. So that was low-hanging fruit. And then just finding some ways, opening lines. So that the spiritual thing is really easy. Do you ever think about spiritual things while you're selling a headstone? I can have those conversations because we hear it. We hear all kinds of things from people.
Yeah.
Things that happen in families' end of life, or how somebody passed away. So some of those conversations are easy to have if you don't do the Bible thumping thing or hand someone a tract, right? That's cheating. It's not really, it's relationship. People, when you have a relationship with somebody, they will trust you with what you say. So when you eventually have a deeper spiritual conversation, it will have more traction and maybe go somewhere. So I always just try to think, okay, can I ask the question to this person if they're spiritual or not? Or if you're not, why not? So that's been my most successful opening line, as you would put it.
Yeah.
And then some of the people that I've known for a long time, I know what their situation is just from having worked with them for 10 or 15 years. And so I insert myself into their lives because I know where they're at, and there's not anything to lose for me asking them if I can help them in some way. And so having the different groups here, having Celebrate Recovery, we don't have the food brigade anymore, but that was really a good place to have people come and serve. We've got our Tuesday night rehearsals that are really, it's really more of a team building. And then we have this surprisingly in-depth, I love Caleb. He just calls them Bible studies, because they're growth groups. We call them growth groups, but we really read the Bible. We talk about it. We sometimes stay on the topic that's being taught during the week on Sundays. So those are the easy ways to do it. And then there are some times where I tell myself, okay, this could you could get a call from HR tomorrow, but you just have to tell people, because if you know where they're at in their life and you know that they're a seeker, even though they might not be seeking anything, you just have to insert yourself and say, let me tell you a little bit about my life, and then you do your condensed version of your story, how you came to know Jesus, and that becomes far more effective than people think.
As I look back on my life, the people that I admire the most had one quality that was so awesome. It was resiliency. They were resilient people. And what we know about watching how people grow and how they live out their lives is that what makes people resilient is their community. And I want to invite you to take a step into community. If you haven't already done that, if you're not a part of a group that gets together, a group where you're known and you know people, where you can share a little bit about yourself. You have a good day, you can actually say something. You have a bad day, you can actually say something. You're not going at it alone. Community makes resilient people. And if you want to follow Jesus in a deeper way, if you want to get further down the path in your faith, I want to invite you into community. We specialize in this at Westside Community Church, and we've got groups of all kinds at all times. There's one for you, I promise. I want to invite you to look at westsidecommunitychurch.com/groups. Go browse right now. Find a group that meets your schedule. Start there and meets your interests, and sign up and check it out, because it's going to make a big difference in your faith.
Your own story, nobody can tell you that's a lie or that's fake or it's not real. It is your own story.
Yeah, I found too that when you have conversations that start with your own vulnerability, then it opens up a space for someone to, number one, connect with you on a relational way, and then also gives them permission to share their story with you. And then you can just go from there, which is one of my favorite things about connecting with people, especially in a group setting, is to be able to share myself a little bit and then also hear other people share themselves. So that's really cool.
Yeah, you had Lauren here telling his story earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And when he was first on our worship team, and me, at the time it was just me, but Maurice now, our other guitar player, we're known as the guys who can fix your guitars or set your guitars up, or if you got some problems. So he was having issues with one of his guitars, so he brought it over, and it's not an expensive guitar. And I'm thinking, I don't know why he would care about this guitar. Well, it turns out that it was his son's guitar, who he had lost. And then that brought on the conversation of, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And then 4 hours later, he's almost done telling me his story.
Yeah.
That was just based on me telling him, oh, I can take care of your guitar. I don't charge any of our team for doing guitar setups or repairing things. And so you have to find those little connections with people. And like you say, once they feel like they can trust you, they're going to tell you things that you're going to go, oh, hold on, I'm full. Can we continue this conversations later? Because this is a lot. This is a lot for people. But as leaders, you have to expect that you're going to get it some days, and you're going to think, oh my goodness, my life is just a frog sitting on a rock by a pond compared to some people's lives. And so I think you just have to be brave sometime and insert yourself in people's lives. They will tell you if they don't want you in it.
True.
And what's the worst can happen in a workplace? You can get wrote up. I mean, they can't fire you for talking about your faith. I mean, we have free speech, and we've had the federal courts be in our favor for being able to express our faith now. You know, like I said, I don't think our version of sharing our faith is beating someone over the head with our Bibles and what we believe in, all that. So I think people would be more surprised at how receptive their workplace is, especially in the culture that we have now, how we're seeing this revival start again in the 21st century.
Yeah.
So
that's exciting.
You just have to do it. Just like I say, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Find some confidence. What, like, when you're going through that process of, like, it sounds like almost mourning, that first year of not being involved or as intentional with your commitment. What did that process look like? And, like, how did prayer play a part in that for you in discovering how you were going to take your next steps?
Well, I think mourning is a good way to put it. I think coming out of COVID, people were mourning the life that they had before COVID.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I think at the beginning, a couple of weeks, okay, we're done. You know, I used to make jokes that I wasn't going to make fun of any of the little Asian ladies in the supermarket with their masks. I get it now. I get it.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure.
So,
Yep.
So I think when coming out of COVID, I think people were sad. They were insecure. They didn't know that anything like this could happen in their lifetimes.
Sure.
I had 3 children at home then. Mm-hmm. We had just moved out of our big house. We rented a little condo that was about 700 square feet. Mm-hmm. We were just going to be there for 6 months, and then we were going to go buy a house. Then COVID hits. Yeah. You can't look at a house. You can't buy a house. You can't go out of your house. We were stuck in this place.
Yeah.
When they had to do the in-school, in-home learning, the online stuff.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
I hear all of them 3 and their teachers. They're hearing me and my work. Mm-hmm. We're all stuck in a room that's not much bigger than this little studio.
Yeah.
And doing everything I could to not let that kind of isolation get to them. Built a little bit of compassion that I didn't know was there until we started to come out of COVID. Mm-hmm. And I felt like, well, I helped my kids get through this. I need to help other people come out of it.
I see.
I mean, I had daily, weekly conversations with the kids about, we're Goyburns, we believe in Jesus, we know that there's something else that's going to come out of this, mm-hmm. that God is going to bless our family. We came out of the COVID excellent. The kids' grades were good. There was no mental health issues.
Awesome.
But when we came out of COVID and the kids went back to school, they saw that some of their friends didn't do as well. We were having people at work that still weren't doing well. And so I felt like I had some obligation, partly because of my involvement here at Westside. I just fell right into the big giant, will you serve pit that Westside is known for.
Yeah, you did.
So, and all that encouragement helped me to go, okay, I got to figure out some way to help people and to not let it get me depressed and feel bad that I'm not living up to what I think I should for Christ and for Westside as well. So,
okay, awesome. Well, let's see. We talked about Spark. We talked about that holy discontent. We talked about your process that you kind of went through. Like, I think that I've heard you share like the results already that you've seen in other people. What about for yourself? Have you seen something like in other people or for yourself that's come out of this process that?
Yes, our Tuesday night thing is kind of the fulfillment of a discontent that I may not have known I had or I did not recognize.
Okay.
So you know that I've wanted to have a growth group that was based around music and mentoring and all that.
Yeah.
And it's never worked out.
For years, yeah.
And so we had that meeting with some of the leaders, especially the parking lot people, the hospitality leaders, the worship leaders. Caleb was there, Steve was there. We were charting out something, and then I think Barker said something about, well, what would change? What would get us to the next level on the worship team? And I said, we got to have a midweek rehearsal. We just have to have a midweek rehearsal. And it just clicked. Everybody was like, the timing was right for us to do it.
Yeah.
You know, we had a greatly improved worship team, more people involved, really great talent. And so that started, and I don't know that we knew what it was going to be, but we knew that we were going to rehearse. And then somehow it came about that I was going to do this devotional at the end. I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know who was going to stay. You know, we get here at 7, and we usually want it to be out by 8:30 or 9. So I just put together some really simple thing at the beginning, made people go around and tell their story. And really in a very short period of time, people were revealing things about themselves that you would not expect to hear from people. We've got high schoolers to people my age, to Caleb age people that you didn't think would be interested in rehearsing for 2 hours and then staying for another hour and a half.
Yeah.
That fulfilled a part in me that I don't think I really realized was a discontent aspect in my life. And it has changed people's lives already that we know of. They've already told us that. And it's changed how I approach people on our team. I can be super cynical and sarcastic.
No.
Very much so. Very much so. And I know that when I'm in one of those cynical seasons of my life, that it can be very damaging, not just to me, but to people around me. And I was becoming very cynical about thinking that, you know, if we're going to grow the worship team, we can teach them how to play music really well. We can coach the new members how to, you know, wear in-ear monitors, how to rehearse, you know, how to hold their mics. But only Jesus can teach them how to live. We can share how we do it with them, but only Jesus can really truly make that change in people. And so we are just, Caleb, Bart and I, Jen and I are just stunned at how long we go in the evenings. You know, our joke is 9:30. We're done at 9:30. No, we're going to go till 10. Yeah. Just sharing. I have Patrick. He's like one of the greatest Bible readers I've ever known. He reads the scriptures. We are doing lessons now about, we're sharing about how we do our own devotionals, our private time, and have had some people share in the last couple of weeks that they've figured out a time of day that they're going to dedicate that isn't it doesn't infringe on their life and their kids and their families and stuff. It's been incredibly fulfilling, and like I said, I think it was one of those discontent things that I didn't know that I had. It was this blind spot.
Couldn't put your finger on it.
Yeah, and I think it fulfilled a gift for me.
That's awesome. So yeah, you get to lean into. I see a through chord, like a run through line between both of those things, and that is that you recognize that Jesus really is that life change maker. And so it seems to me like when you see something amiss, then that's what you want to throw at it, Jesus.
Well, you'd think after 68 years, I would have learned that. Yes, just we've been talking about prayer, and I think I shared that one of my 30-day that I had a really intense section of my life, and I was sharing with the group. I challenge everybody to find something that if you have something that's really intense in your life right now, to pray only about that thing in your devotional time for 30 days. Only about that. Don't let your mind wander. When you start hearing that voices in your head, which I call the unauthorized biography,
that's accurate.
So you use this phrase, you say, this is not a conversation that will reap any positive benefits in my life, and then just change it and just keep praying for that, because your life will change. And Caleb has shared the other night that he has a 30-day thing he's praying for 30 days.
Sweet.
So
We keep looking over here because Caleb is behind the camera. So in case you're wondering, that's what's happening.
Yeah, he's making us look skinny. So yeah, those are just some things that are unexpected when you, and I think we're an opportunity, and I tell my kids this, there's things happening in the world right now that you may never see again. I mean, we have, I joke with them. People my age always ask me, well, where were you when Mount St. Helens blew? Were you around here? Or where were you when the Columbine thing hit? And I said, your kids and grandkids are going to be asking you about the pandemic. Where were you about the pandemic?
Yeah.
Where were you in the spiritual revival in the 2020s? What were you doing? And I think we just have an opportunity now where you are not going to get the blowback about talking about Jesus and getting involved in a church and volunteering to do something, even if you don't know what your spiritual gift is or you don't know what you should be doing. One of the most fabulous things, and I share this all the time about Westside, it doesn't matter who you are, if you just came the first time, if you're a seeker, or you just want a place to go on Sunday morning, there is something for you to do. We don't make you go through a class. You don't have to sign a waiver that you're not going to sue us because you're going to, because we served you bad coffee.
Yeah.
There is a place for you to start. And once you get yourself in motion, I don't know that there's any theology behind it, but I think God can redirect a person that's in motion better than kicking somebody in the butt to get them going.
I mean, I think that's just physics. I agree.
Yeah. So I think all those things in the times that we live in right now are, I think you have a little bit more flexibility to poke somebody in the eye and say, have you ever considered Jesus?
Yeah.
Have you considered a spiritual life?
Yeah.
Do you believe in anything metaphysical?
Yeah.
I mean, those are things that you can talk about now that I'm not sure we could have 10 years ago in the same way that you can now.
Not in the same way for sure, but I agree. It's people are just more open to sharing about themselves and a little less concerned maybe about what you might think, and that opens up a door for us to share, our lives with each other and connect and find relationship, and in doing so, we get to help people move in a direction that might be better for them by encouraging them. So that's cool.
Yeah, I see that in the lobby all the time in between services. We watch people, services 20 minutes over and the next one started and they're still out there in the parking lot. Yeah.
I know.
And you can tell that they're talking about something intense, but they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Because they're here. This is safe. It's a safe place.
Yep.
I mean, Christians have called their building sanctuaries for ages for a reason, right?
Yeah.
This is a place where you can just come and be yourself. And like I say, we love seekers. We love people to come here and ask questions because where else are they going to go, right?
Yeah. Well, and quite frankly, we're all still asking questions. So, yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. That's good stuff. All right. Well, I want to go ahead and wrap up, but I have one other question for you, and that is if somebody is feeling that holy discontent and they feel like maybe they're just not ready yet to take that next step, what suggestion do you have? How would you cheer them on in that process?
I will share one of my discontents that I'm working on currently.
Okay.
So you had Rachel on not too long ago.
Yeah.
They asked me if I would officiate at their wedding.
Yeah.
And so I was the officiant and became pretty close with them, obviously. Yeah. She comes and sings on our worship team every once in a while. She came one night, and we were doing our devotional and chat at the end, and I was just sharing that I've let myself go. I'm way overweight. I just felt like I didn't know if I could ever get back into shape. And she sat up on the stage with her little Rachel smile. Well, what's holding you back, Tony? And I said, I'm freaking lazy.
Wow.
And I went home, and that bothered me for days.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm going back on my keto carnivore. I'm going to do low carb, no sugar, no alcohol, and just get on it. And so I'm 25 pounds down and I want to go 25 or 30 more, but
Congrats. So identifying the thing that's in the way, huh?
that's right. Somebody shared a meme with me the other day that said, a problem defined is a problem half solved.
Ah, that's good. Identify that thing and then kick it out of the way.
Yeah, like Dr. Phil used to say, you can't change what you don't acknowledge.
Good stuff.
And so
man.
sometimes you just have to listen to other people and just move. You have to do something.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I love these conversations now. Everybody knows why.
If you want to meet me in the lobby, I will talk to you forever. It's
All the advice.
It's one of my things I love to do. I'll give you advice. It'll change your life, maybe for the good, maybe not, but it will change your life.
That's what we're after, change. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Tony. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Midweek Motivation. To make sure you don't miss any content in the future, please subscribe, share, and if you enjoyed this, give us a like, and consider popping by a Westside service some weekend. You can find out more at westsidecommunitychurch.com.